Here's section 5.3, exercise 76. And in this, we're told that f of x is equal to 1/8 x minus 3, and g of x is equal to x cubed. And we're supposed to find this value of g inverse circle f inverse of -3. And so what that means is if I do this in opposite order, right? If I do f of g inverse of f inverse like that of -3, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, I should get -3 back, because you see that g of g inverse just gives you back whatever you started with, and then f of f inverse, so we get the -3. And so it's kind of like inverses are kind of like shoes and socks, right? If I put on my socks and then my shoes, to take them off, I need to take off my shoes and then my socks. And I guess if you did it the other way around, it'd be kind of uncomfortable, but you could do it. And but you'd have to take them off in the opposite order you put them on. And so one way to solve this is to simply kind of pare down. So I've got f of something is equal to -3, all that stuff in there. Well, what's the value of that? And, if I have that, so here I've got a bunch of stuff I've already put in, but here's f of x right there. And I put in a y equal -3, and they intersect right there at 0, -3. Okay, so that means that what I know is f of 0 is -3, but it's also all that stuff. So what I have now is g of g inverse of f inverse of -3 is equal to 0. And so now I can do the same thing. I have g of something is equal to 0. And now in this case, I know what it is, because g of x is just x cubed. So I know the answer is 0. But if I needed to do it numerically, see here I've got my g of x. I'll get rid of the f of x. And there's g of x, and I'll change this to a 0. So 0 like that. And, I look here for that spot, and it's at 0, 0. And so I can come back here and say, oh, that's g of 0, which means that g inverse of f inverse of -3 is equal to 0. And so there I evaluated it. Now, going back, though, to the technology, so I had f of x, and we saw the trick that if I do x equal f of y, I can get the inverse function. And I put in g of x, and I could also plot the inverse function x equals g of y. But I could also plot the function f of g of x, in which case its inverse function is g inverse of f inverse of x, again, the opposite order. And then I could do this one here, x equals h of y, and there is my inverse function of f of g of x. And notice y equals 0 here is at -3. So, if I go out here to x equal -3, I do in fact get 0. And so there we go. That's another way to use technology to evaluate that composition of inverse functions. So I guess that is number 76.